Hey friends, I promised to show a lady I've been talking to this technique that my physical therapist showed me, and basically for me these days I can I've only been full-on glute strengthening for about a month, because before that I just couldn't find ways to glute strengthen without increasing the pain. And I've made some videos about the glute strengthening that I have been able to find that I can do, so my pain is actually reduced surprisingly quite a bit. I mean, but my hip is still quite, unstable. So I wouldn't say I'm pain-free, obviously. I've been suffering from chronic hip pain, like a 9 out of 10 constant hip pain from May 2015. And from November 2014 to May 2015, the hip pain would range anywhere between a 1, and a 9. So, I don't think it's going to be an overnight process. And as I've said, my hip's in a pretty bad shape, really. The labrum's just got toast, and there's a bit of cartilage and bone missing off the edge of the socket and all that. But anyway, but relatively speaking, I'm really encouraged by my progress for this month of full-on glute strengthening. Anyway, but what my physical therapist told me, and what I want to share with this lady today and with you guys, is this technique that he said to me that I could use to be like an instant labral tear pain reliever. And I would find that I could because I'm getting that, if I get labral tear pain, and I think the hip can be unstable, but if I'm talking really labral tear pain where I feel like my femur is falling to the front of the joint and pushing on the worst part of the labrum and aggravating that tissue, my physical therapist said it's like when it's like the labral tear is like a bruise and you keep pushing on the bruise. When I got that kind of pain, it would be here, in here, and it would just be hell, right? And that's for me. But I can get groin pain, and I can get an ache, a really concentrated ache laterally as well, and that there is where that bit of cartilage and bone is missing off the edge of the socket. Anyway, but he said I could do this technique, and that would like I said, be an instant pain reliever for that kind of labral tear pain. And it was but I haven't done it now for a month, because I haven't had to, because I've had that pain a lot less since I've been glute strengthening. But I'm hardcore with the glute strengthening. I didn't do much yesterday, but pretty much every single day I'm doing a fair bit of glute strengthening. So and I think that it really helps to, if you if you get your hands between two walls, when you're a kid and you'd push on the walls for a certain amount of time, and then you'd walk away from the walls and you would drop your arms, and your arms would naturally lift by themselves because that tension is still in the muscles. Well, I find that it seems to me that if I glute strengthen, the pain is reduced for a certain amount of time. Obviously there's still tension in the muscles, and I think that, well, obviously over time, if you look at bodybuilders and the size of the muscles that they get, obviously I think over time with the glute strengthening, that tension and that change in tone in the glute muscles will obviously permanently hold that femur in a better orientation. Because that's what my PT said to me. He said that this mobilization exercise can take the pressure off the tear, but over time your glutes will naturally do this for you, with glute strengthening. But I just wanted to also say, before I show this technique also, is like I said, I can get pain in my hip in several different places, right? And I think that part of the reason is, it's a muscle issue, and also a pelvic alignment issue, as I've said in previous videos, but I think that they're all connected. I'm hoping with time, if I can continue to improve the alignment of my spine and get my muscle tone better with all my glutes and everything, I'm hoping that my hip will become more stable, my pelvis will become more stable in terms of its alignment, and I'll have less increases in pain in the hip. So but to that end, I wanted to say that, when my hip pain increases these days, I do a couple of things. There's a lady I was talking to, and sorry, this is all information. I'm sorry I'm not getting to this this technique straight away, but I think that all this is relevant and can be helpful. There's a lady I was talking to in America, and I discussed this in the adductor massaging video, where she had labral tear surgery with one of the best surgeons. I would consider one of the best surgeons in America, and after that she still had this groin pain, and he had a really good physical therapist, and the physical therapist said, I think it's your tight abductors. And so the physical therapist started working on massaging her adductors. Her husband was massaging her adductors, and her groin pain eased from massaging the adductors. So I would say, you know, the technique that you apply could depend on where your pain is in your hip. But and for me, I can get increased hip pain if my pelvis, if my ilium falls forward with respect to my sacrum. Get the skeleton here, show you that. Like if the ilium falls forward with respect to the sacrum, like it slips forward with respect to the sacrum, I can get increased hip pain. And like if I, you know, improve the alignment of my sacroiliac joints, which I've showed you in another video, I can reduce the pain, right? But honestly, I wasn't having much success with any of these techniques before I started glute strengthening. So I honestly feel now, after my experience, after just a month of like hardcore glute strengthening, like without that, I feel personally that I can really get far with anything else. That's just been my experience. But in terms of the adductor massaging that I've been doing, in the video I showed you that I was using this diameter poly pipe, but actually I've gone up to this diameter, and this is actually the same diameter as a foam roller. And what I find with this diameter, sorry, this is a really old piece that's stained with I don't know what, but anyway, with this diameter I find that my abductors up the top, I can massage them a lot more effectively than using this. So yeah, so I've just basically kind of ditched that, and I'm now using this one exclusively to massage my adductors, okay? But anyway, getting to this technique where, because what happened, like I would be laying in bed, like, you know, a month ago or so, or a bit over a month ago before that injection, and even that anesthetic injection that's kind of, you know, I had a huge reaction to, and like the front of my hip would be aching like crazy, and I would like come out and do this technique, and I would go back to bed. It was literally instant relief, okay? So for that type of pain, like this will be helpful, okay? So so my physical therapist explained to me the approach, and then like I had to find a way to do it myself because he lives in America. And so this is kind of what I figured out, and it seems to work quite well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a link in the description below, because there was a post this morning on the Hip Impingement Awareness Facebook group, and it was a PDF of a physiotherapist in England who talks about prehab, like, you know, working on all your hip before surgery to help, you know, your post-surgery pain. And she actually has a picture of her doing this, what my physical therapist said he does, like if he's doing this technique on somebody. So I'm going to leave a link in the description below so you can actually see how she's getting under the person's leg and, you know, grabbing down here, okay, just to show you that this is, I think this is obviously probably a pretty standard technique for those in the know about labral tear pain. So anyway, so what he told me to do is, so what I've done is I've got this is just a car seat belt, an old car seat belt, and I've tied it down low, okay? And he said what we're going to do is, what the objective is to physically pull the femur ball back off the front of the socket, and again, just like I do with all my glute strengthening exercises, to take the pressure off the labral tear, or the painful labral tear that you've got. So this works for, you know, anterior, for me, or well, I think it works for anterior and superior tears, okay? So I don't know about posterior tears, because I'm pretty sure I've got a posterior tear, but a lot of people with posterior tears seem to get glute pain. I don't really get the glute pain, so touch wood. So I have to kick my little princess out of the way. She's not going to like that very much. And so what I do, so the objective is to, like I said, actually I'll use my right leg because it's, you're going to be easy to see. So he says what he does is he gets right down, right up the top of the femur. So I use the seatbelt for that, and also this just helps add a bit more pull, right? So I'm not pushing on the railing here. Okay, I'm pulling my body back to get tension in this belt, and then I'm to increase the tension, to increase this belt pulling my femur that way, I actually go to tippy toes with my toes. See that? But my PT said when he's doing it to somebody, he gets his shoulders under here and his arms are here, and he says his objective is to push back and down, so posterior and inferior, okay, like that. But you can see here I'm not really getting inferior. I'm not really going down like this, per se, just because I haven't got this belt down low enough. But this works fine for me, just to pull it back. And okay, so I put my toe on tippy toes to increase the tension in that belt, but the key is then I get my hands and I push at the top of my femur, and I palpate it or pulse it, like push, release, push, release, push, release, push, release, okay? So, in my mind's eye I'm physically pushing the femur down, south, that way, okay? So, and he said that to do that for 15-30 seconds a couple of times, and but you will feel, if this is where your pain is, you will feel the relief, and so I do this, and if for some reason it would like temporarily take the pressure off the tear and ease the pain. It was great. And like I said, like he said to me, over time with the glute strengthening, the glutes will do what this exercise does, okay, achieves. So yeah, so like I said, but I haven't done that technique for a month now, and I think that's probably because like I'm glute strengthening every day, and like obviously, like I said, after a glute strengthen, the tension stays in the muscles for a bit, so that's been helpful. So there's some more tips that my PT shared with me in the beginning before I found ways to glute strengthen that could reduce the pain on your labral tear, like when you're in bed and stuff. So I'm going to make another video right now, and I'm going to share those tips in that video, okay, because this is getting too long. So sorry to go on with all the details, but I think in this situation it's so complicated, and I just think that any information can be useful, Anyways, but thanks very much for watching, and I hope this was helpful, and if you've got any questions, you need any clarification, let me know, and see you later.